Yo, what's happening, everybody? It is your humble host, Soul Expression. Welcome back to the Inner Storyteller, and welcome back to the channels, the Ufulu Child channel and my channel. Please do me a favor and like the video and subscribe to these channels. First of all, the channels are great. They come with free massages and all you can eat cotton candy. Okay, who doesn't love it? And it's free, right? It's super free. You just like move the mouse or I don't know, turn your phone the other way and then you tap and then there it is right there. It's already done. Also like the video in the first 10 minutes because it's just super great. And I have these ambitions. I have these ambitions in life to one day monetize this podcast. And I know you want to help me with that. The easiest way to do that is to indeed like the video. If you are here, then you are in for real conversations, good people. Conversations that may involve natural law, religion, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the great, money, anarchy, and how mankind is manipulated by forces that do not have our best interest at heart because they are completely evil. We are not bashing faith systems on this channel. We are simply examining the psychological affects and effects of the stories that we have the most faith in, stories we have the most stake in, and how those stories help shape society. That examination sits right alongside the honest look at the current human condition, which I say is slavery. Government is slavery. And the question that we have to keep coming back to is what can actually be improved with a thorough and proper understanding of the inner storyteller and how it works. Now, if any of that makes you uneasy, makes you a little angry, fear not, for you are encouraged to stay, but you are welcome, of course, to leave after you like the video. What's up, y'all? I am feeling really good. Feeling really good. I just got done listening to a dynamic conversation between Big Sis Cynthia Mitchell over at Affirm Life Daily and a man named Aaron. And they touched on a lot of very pertinent information in regards to the themes that we cover here on this channel, namely freedom, the education system. What else did they touch on? Government, rulership in general, the concept of, being ruled over or ruling over your peers without their consent under the threat of violence, right? Um, they touched on a lot of things that are extremely pertinent to the information that I like to cover. And just, I've felt really good listening to what they had to offer. And it inspired me to share a little something that may be interesting to you from my own mind. And it's called The King of the Monsters. It's a little mini, tiny story illustration of a character that pops up in the human story every now and again. The King of the Monsters, he had an idea. The people weren't as afraid of him anymore. They rebelled. They thought for themselves, those nasty people. They publicly dismissed his authority. It was only a small percentage, but he knew the further they got from obedience, the closer they got to freedom. And he could not have that. Something had to be done. He said, "I'll poison them," with an evil grin. "First, I'll release a sickness into the waters. Then, my cure will just be another dose. I'll be the hero. I'll hide the information regarding what's in the vial when I show up to fight the sickness with my genius mind. I'll let them fight over how best to understand what exactly is happening. Even if some get it right, the majority won't care. They'll listen to me because of the stories that I gave them about the cure in the vial. The one that starts and ends with my boot on their rights. They won't understand at all until it's too late. Until it's too late to care. Whoever survives will remain unaware. I'll reduce the population by half if I have to, and they'll never know what hit them. It'll be sly as a fox, silent as a ghost, conniving as a cat. I'll put them under my spell and douse their mind in my rhetoric. Make them think the thoughts I make for them. Make them feel the emotions I shape for them. I'll get their favorite court gestures, their favorite book readers, their favorite cake makers, drivers, and people pleasers to endorse my poison as a cure. Yeah, I'll get them to scream it. They'll think it is good for them. I'll make games out of it, songs and dances galore. We'll celebrate my poison and praise its name, and it will be the best last thing they will ever gain. I'll do all of this with the trick up my sleeve because the sickness and the poison will both be coming from me. Signed, sincerely, Dr. Fauci. Just kidding. King of the monsters. Oh, I laugh because I don't want to cry. You know, we take a lot of shit as human beings. We accept a lot of abuse and gaslighting and deceit and manipulation and narcissism and arrogance. We tolerate an enormous amount of hatred. And instead of responding with defense, self-defense, we respond largely by attempting to be seen as an abuser and not to be seen as the abused. What do I mean? Well, many people can feel, even if they don't know, that the money system, or what I like to call the religion of monetary value, is the centerpiece of the control system. It's the glue holding together fragile power that stands on no real substantive foundation. And the money system is at the root of the problem of scarcity that drives us in a large part to obey the commands and written rules of the abusers. And as we remain obedient to the abusers, every now and again, they instruct us implicitly or indirectly or explicitly, pardon me. They direct us to distance ourselves from, divide ourselves from, separate ourselves from each other, and depend on them, the so-called powers that be. No, the only power is our obedience. That's just how that goes, good people. It's not a joke. It's not a declaration. And it just so happens to be true. When it comes to government power, the only power there is our obedience. Because here's the thing. Violence is real, right? Harm is real. Actions are real. Kidnapping, starving, beating, shooting, etc. people happens in the real world. And therefore, threats of violence, like, hey, if you don't follow our rules, we're going to put you in a cage. We're going to do all of these things. We're going to fine you in all of these ways. And being on the receiving end of threats of that nature will make it easy to follow whatever the threatener is saying. And that's why having a strong will and a strong mind are paramount in any real discussion involving the 99% waking up and doing something about the power structures that are in place. Because without a strong will and a strong heart, and of course a strong mind, you will either be too naive or too soft to actually remain consistent once you start picking fights or defending yourself. They will all picking fights. Regardless, when you're dealing with the king of the monsters, you're not just dealing with a person, right? You're dealing with systems, what we call systematic issues, bureaucracy, red tape, restricted areas, confidential information, chain of command, need to know basis. I don't really know. My boss, my supervisor's supervisor doesn't even handle that. That's a whole nother department. I'm sorry, I can't help you. All of these things are what we deal with under the spell of our own obedience. What we don't deal with very often is we woke up and nobody put their kid in government school today because we had enough. Everybody in our whole city, even just part of the city, you can take a couple 100,000 people in a part of a city, right? And nobody put their kid in a government school, a public school today because we had enough. That's why. Not a protest, not a anything. They just, none of them went to school. All the schools only had adults in them. What would happen? That's available at any given time. You don't have to mobilize in any great sophisticated manner to make that happen. That can happen tomorrow. Share this to 100 million people. 100,000 people, and there you go. And you get 100,000 people to participate. Regardless, the point is real world actions in dealing with the systems that give out the threats of violence, right? If you don't follow our rules, we'll put you in a cage. We'll separate you from your family. We'll do all these things. We'll deport you. We'll do all these things. We'll beat you. We'll kill you, right? They don't stop at the shallow stuff, of course. So you got to choose your battles. You got to be smart, and you got to have a strong will and a strong mind, as well as a strong heart. And as you come more and more into your awakening, more and more into the remembrance of who you are and how these are your peers who are telling you that if if you go faster than I want you to go, even if you don't cause harm or, cause panic or anything, you don't scare anybody on the road, you just go on faster than they want you to go. They'll fine you, and then they'll put you in jail for debt. And then in jail, you may get abused. If that situation feels normal to you, that can even happen, then right now you're lost in the sauce. You just in the sauce, swimming around, you know. Where I'm going with this is there is the balance between waking up yourself, right, and sharing with others ways that you can implement what you're learning. And in that great balance, we do have to recognize that when we mobilize under certain language, that we're going to fight the system, that we're going to come together, we're going to beat the system, we're going to leave the system, we're going to, when we mobilize in that way, yeah, we do get a whole lot of eyes and ears on us. And it's, unfortunate, but movements like that are always either infiltrated until the leadership is the government or shut down. But when we mobilize to do common sense things like growing our food anyway, people can get behind that in large numbers without many labels being needed, and real change can be inspired either by a large enough group of people being targeted, as in like they're trying to put thousands of people in cages for growing their own food, and then we have whatever reaction we would have to that, or by way of policy being changed and seats being removed and stuff like that, which isn't real change, but it's a symbol of change. It's a symbol that something may be awakening, right? I am not for any type of government intervention standing in as real change on my channel. But I do know that when a large number of people get together and do something and policy changes in result of their sacrifice, that does serve as a good symbol. There are many things that we do inside of these systems that serve as really good symbols and at the same time would serve as really bad habits. Take protests, for instance, protesting in the street, holding signs, walking, letting your voice be heard at a decent hour of the day, and either sticking to the sidewalk or doing so that we're in where you're not putting a whole lot of people in danger, right? Following all of the rules. Protests are a good symbol and a bad habit, in my opinion, a bad diet. In my opinion, protests should work more so like a warning or a final warning than how they actually operate today. Right? Protests today operate like they're nights out on the town, right? You like tonight we're gonna go do this protest because that's what we're doing this week, and then next week, we're gonna get back to following all of the rules and waiting to see what other activism activities we can engage in. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, regardless, my King of the Monsters story does a few different things, and we can get further into that. But the first thing that it does is it puts into perspective the scale in which the mind control is implemented, or the scale of like how small the lie is and how big of an impact a small lie can have. Small lie like the sickness came out of nowhere and I have the cure, right? It's highlighting that. Sorry, that was a little hard to put into words at first. Another thing that it's highlighting is how the kind of like how the mind of these people works a little bit, right? Something intuitively at the beginning of the story made the king of the monsters aware that the rebellions that were happening and people, not taking his schooling seriously, all of these things were impacting his perceived right to rule. And he intuitively understood that, and in intuitively taking that in, he came up with a plan to get his people back for waking up to the system, for waking up to the fact that he doesn't deserve to rule. Right? It's doing a couple different things. I highly encourage you guys to, go back and listen to it again, and maybe I'll make a little PDF out of it and put some pictures or whatever. Maybe I'll even expand it. Maybe I'll make it a not a kid's, but a teenager's book. This sort of villain's speech, and then I don't know. Who knows? This was fun though. It was a fun little episode. I do hope that you guys enjoyed everything. Please don't forget to like the video. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channels. I do have the slight desire to one day monetize my podcast, and I can't do that if you don't like the video and you don't subscribe. Today is Thursday, so I will be here tomorrow and the next day on Saturday. And you guys really, really, really should be looking forward to part 2 of the Inner Storyteller, the main video series, dropping. I don't have a date that it's going to drop just yet, but that is, man, I'm very, very excited for you guys to see it. Hopefully it will be just as entertaining for you guys. Hopefully it'll be multitudes greater entertaining for you guys to watch it and digest it as it was for me to make it. With that being said, I really appreciate you sticking it out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love.